Welcome to the Elevate Life Project with your host, Michael Kohan. At the Elevate Life Project, we are dedicated to inspiring people to achieve their goals and live their dreams to their highest potential. Aim higher. Elevate your life. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Elevate Life Project. I am your host, Michael Kohan, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. Thanks for showing up. Whether you're listening on your commute, on a walk, or just taking a moment to invest in yourself, I appreciate you being here. And honestly, today's episode might be exactly what you need right now. So let's get into it. Today, I want to talk about something that every single one of us deals with at some point. And for a lot of us, it's happening right now. I'm talking about feeling demotivated. That feeling where you know you should be doing something. You know you have things to accomplish. You know what direction you want to go in. But you just can't get there or can't get yourself to move. The energy isn't there. The drive isn't there. You're sitting in front of your to-do list or your computer screen or whatever it is, and you just feel stuck, flat, like the engine has completely run out of fuel. And I want you to know something right off the bat. That's normal. That doesn't mean something is broken inside of you. It doesn't mean you're lazy. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you're human, because motivation isn't a constant. It's not something you either have or you don't. It fluctuates. It rises and falls. And life has a way of throwing things at you that knock it right out of you when you least expect it. Think about your average work week. Unexpected things happen all the time. A problem at work, a disagreement with someone you care about, a bill you didn't see coming, bad night's sleep, a piece of news that shakes you. Any one of those things can throw you off balance. And depending on how you respond to them, they can either be a small bump in the road or they can completely derail you. And I think that's the key. It's not the event itself that kills your motivation, it's your response to it. Two people can face the exact same setback, and one gets right back up, and the other spirals for 2 weeks. The difference isn't the setback. The difference is what's happening internally. And I think this has become even more of a challenge now that so many people are working from home or working in environments where there's nobody standing over their shoulder, keeping them accountable. When you're on your own, you have to be your own source of motivation. And when that motivation dips, there's no boss walking by you or walking by your desk to snap you back into gear. It's just you. And if you don't have the internal tools to pull yourself out of that dip, it can spiral fast. You start the day slow. You get frustrated with yourself for being slow. That frustration kills your energy even more. And before you know it, the whole day is gone and you've accomplished nothing. And then that bleeds into the next day and the next. And then suddenly, you're in a rut that feels impossible to climb out of. But here's the good news. It's not impossible. Not even close. You can pull yourself out. You just need to understand what really is going on and then make some intentional choices to shift your state. And that's what this is all about today. So let's start with what I think is the biggest single reason most lose their motivation. And it's something that most people overlook. They don't have clear goals. They don't actually know what they're going to do. And when you don't know where you're going, why would you feel motivated to move? Think about it. Motivation is energy directed towards something. If there's no something, there's no direction for that energy to flow. So it just sits there. It stagnates and you feel stuck. I want you to ask yourself a few questions, and I want you to be honest. Why do you wake up every morning and go to work? And I don't mean because I have to pay bills. I mean beyond that. What are you building toward? What would your life look like next year or two, and why? Why does that vision matter to you? Because when you can answer those questions, when you have a clear picture of where you're headed and why it matters, motivation stops being something you have to manufacture. It becomes something that pulls you forward naturally. You don't have to force yourself out of bed when you're excited about what you're building. You don't have to trick yourself into working with, that work that you're doing today. You recognize that it's leading somewhere meaningful instead. Goals give you life direction, and directions give you energy. And once you have that clarity, I want you to protect it. Because one of the fastest ways to kill your motivation, even when you don't have goals, is to start comparing yourself to other people. And we all do this. We look at someone else's life, someone else's success, someone else's highlight reel on social media, and we start measuring ourselves against them. And almost every time we come up short. Not because we are actually short, but because we're comparing our behind the scenes to their greatest hits. We're comparing our chapter 3 to their chapter 20. And that comparison does nothing but breed stress, self-doubt, and depression. Here's what I want you to do instead. Instead of looking sideways at what everyone else is doing, look forward at what your own life is going to look like when you reach your goals. Put put your energy into imagining that future. What does it feel like? What does it look like? Who's in your life? What are you proud of? When you focus on your own vision instead of someone else's reality, you eliminate that mental noise, all those endless comparisons that do nothing but slow you down. Your race is your race. Nobody else is running it. So stop looking at the lanes next to you and focus on what is in front of you. So here's where I want to get real with you because I know that even when you have goals and you've stopped comparing yourself to others, life is still going to be hard sometimes. You're still going to face challenges. You're still going to have days where everything feels like it's working against you. And in those moments, the temptation is going to be to give up, to abandon the goal, to tell yourself it wasn't meant to be. And I need you to hear me on this. Don't do that. Don't give up on your dreams because the road's rough. Every single person who has ever accomplished anything meaningful has gone through seasons where they wanted to quit. That's not a sign that you're going on the wrong path. That's a sign that you're on a path worth walking. The struggle is part of it. And I know that doesn't make it feel any better in the moment, but it's the truth. Your challenge might feel like this massive, immovable obstacle right now. But giving up on your dreams, that's a much bigger deal than any temporary struggle you're facing. So when those moments hit, and they will, I want you to remember why you started. Go back to that vision. Go back to that feeling of what you're building towards. And remember yourself that results don't come instantly. They come to people who stay in the game long enough to earn them. And sometimes staying in the game requires you to make changes. And I know that word can feel heavy, change. Most people resist it. It's like what we're familiar with, even when what's familiar isn't working. But here's what I've learned. When you're feeling demotivated, it's often because something in your current approach needs to shift. It's not a massive overhaul, not a complete reinvention of your life, just a small adjustment, a different angle, a new approach to the same goal. Think about it this way. If someone wants to lose weight and what they've been doing isn't working, they don't need to change their entire life. Maybe they just need to swap one meal a day for something healthier. Maybe they need to add a 20-minute walk in their morning. If someone wants to start a business, but they're stuck because they think they need a huge budget, maybe they just need to explore free ways to market their product. If someone wants to quit a bad habit, maybe they just need to try a different strategy than the one they've been failing with so far. This is the point. Your results follow your decisions. And if the decisions you've been making aren't producing the results you want, It's time to make a different one. Not bigger ones, not scary ones, just different ones. Small changes may consistently lead to massive results over time. And that fresh approach, the new angle, can be exactly the spark that reignites your motivation. Because there's something about trying something new that wakes you up. It breaks the monotony. It gives you hope. It reminds you that you're not stuck. You just need to adjust. And the last thing I want to talk about today is something that I think holds more people back than almost anything else. And that's the fear of making mistakes. Because when you're already feeling demotivated, the last thing you want to do is try something and fail. The thought of putting yourself out there and messing up feels unbearable. So you don't try at all. You stay frozen, and your motivation dies a little more each day that you stay stuck. But here's what I need you to understand about mistakes. They are not the enemy. They never were. Mistakes are the single most effective teacher you'll ever have. Every successful person you admire has a trail of failures and poor decisions behind them. Every single one. The difference is they didn't let those mistakes define them. They learned from them. They evaluated what went wrong, they figure out what they could do differently, and they keep moving. And that's what I want you to do. When you make a mistake, and you will, because you're human and that's what humans do, don't dwell on it. Don't beat yourself up. Don't use it as evidence that you're not enough. Instead, look at it honestly. Ask yourself what happened. What can you learn from it? And what went well in the process? Because even if your failures, there are things that you did right. And recognizing those build up and build upon. It reminds you that you're capable. It reminds you that even when things don't go perfectly, you're still making progress. Mistakes are not roadblocks. They're stepping stones. They're the things that make you smarter, sharper, and more prepared for what's ahead. And when you can embrace that, when you can see mistakes as natural, necessary part of the journey instead of something to be terrified of, your relationship with motivation completely changes because you're no longer afraid to try. You're no longer paralyzed by the possibility of getting it wrong. You just go. You take action and you trust that whatever happens, you'll figure it out. So let me bring this all together for you. Feeling demotivated is part of being human. It happens to all of us. But staying demotivated, that's a choice. And it's a choice you don't have to make. Get clear on your goals so you have something meaningful to move toward. Stop comparing yourself to everyone around you and start focusing on your own vision. When the road gets tough, remember why you started and keep pushing through. Be willing to make small changes when your current approach isn't working. And stop being afraid of mistakes. They're not the end of the road, they're part of the road. The key to all this is keeping your eye on the big picture, not the bad day you had yesterday, not the setbacks you're dealing with right now. The big picture, the life you're building, the person you're becoming. Because when you zoom out and look at the whole journey instead of just this one hard moment, you realize that you're closer than you think. And that realization, that perspective, is often all the motivation you need to take the next step. All right, that's what I have for you today. If this episode hits home, share it with someone who's going through a tough stretch right now. We all have those moments, and sometimes hearing the right words at the right time makes all the difference. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave us a review. That's what helps us reach more people, and it means a lot to me. To write us a review, open up this podcast in your app and search for the Elevate Life Project. And if you want to discover your true purpose, head over to elevatelifeproject.com. As always, aim higher and elevate your life. I'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Elevate Life Project. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you like our show, please write us a review. By writing us a review, you will help raise our profile so more people can find our show. Links to our sponsors and other tools can be found in our show notes along with other useful information. For more information on our coaching classes, please visit our website at elevatelifeproject.com. mindfulness.com and sign up for our newsletter. Remember, aim higher, elevate your life.